Okay, Greg, so what kinds of assets should I hold in my limited partnership?
The partnership should be holding any assets that we want to protect and any assets that can give us a potential tax benefit. These are the two reasons we do a limited partnership. So for protection, we are going to want to make sure our house is protected. We want to make sure any rental properties or commercial properties or other type of real property is protected. We're going to want to protect any excess monies. We're going to put our investment accounts in there and put monies that we're holding right now in our trusts that are in excess of what we really need to live on into the limited partnership. We can put our gold and silver bullion in there. I've got my musical instruments in there. I've got my tractors because I love my tractor, and so I don't want to lose that. People put jewelry in there. Their wife's diamond rings. Their collectibles, collectible cars. You can put collectible paraphernalia that you have from sports or other things. So those are the type of things that you want to do. You're going to want to make sure the limited partnership also basically owns your other business entities, if possible. Now, it can't hold an S corporation. It's just not allowed by law. But we can own LLCs, we can own C corporations, we can own general partnerships, sole proprietorships. So we can go ahead and put those all into the limited partnership. And that will make it so that we are able to not only protect those assets, but we're able to go also get tax benefits as the monies come in on those different businesses.
And do we want to hold our vehicles in the limited partnership as well?
We don't want to hold vehicles that we drive all the time. So collectible vehicles are okay, but they're just too dangerous to put a car into the limited partnership. It's similar to having a safety deposit box and putting your jewelry in the safety deposit box and then putting your stick of dynamite in the safety deposit box too. We want to protect both of them, but we don't protect them in the same spot. It just causes problems.
I see. And is there a limit on the number of properties or assets that you'd want to hold in one entity?
We generally have to realize that it's what we're working with is similar to an apple basket. So if you have too many apples, there's bound to be one of them that has a problem, and it can cause problems with other things. The limited partnership is similar. We put a lot of assets in there. If we have too many properties in there, they can affect each other. So generally, it's something that is a personal decision, but on myself, I basically am willing to put 5 or 6 properties into one limited partnership, and then I would create another one just to separate the apple basket. So if something goes wrong with one, it doesn't cause a problem with the next.
All right, got it. Are we also going to hold assets in the Wyoming LLC?
The Wyoming LLC is to be the general partner of the limited partnership. And so the Wyoming LLC will hold nothing except for have a bank account that maybe has $1,000 in it. We're never going to put real property in there. We'll never put investment accounts in there. And we're never going to pay a bill from there. We're never going to have any income there. So the deal is that it's there to sit and be waiting for somebody to come and sue it, basically, is what it's doing.
Okay. Well, how about can my creditors take my limited partnership assets if they get a judgment against me personally?
No. So let's take an example that you go out there and you decide to run over that neighbor's dog, okay? And there's a really good dog, and it's worth $1 million. And so the judge says, this is a really good dog. I'm going to give a judgment to the creditor, the person that owned the dog, that says you owe them $1 million. So now they have this paper that says you owe them $1 million. And so what happens is that it's going to be against you because you're the one that ran over the dog. And so they're going to come and they're going to have a hearing called an order of examination. And this is where you're sitting on that side of the desk and the attorney that sued you is on this side of the desk, and there's a gal at the end of the desk that basically has you raise your hand and say, I promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God. But you don't get to say for help me God anymore because that doesn't seem to matter in California. But then what happens is they get to ask you what you own. And if they say, do you own a house? If you haven't done any planning, you're going to say yes, and they put it out on the table like a smorgasbord table. Do you own any rentals? Yes, I've got some rentals. Do you have a commercial property? Yes. Do you have an investment account? You put it all out on the table. I have my dog, my socks, my shoes. That's all the things that I've got. And then they get to sit there and choose from all of those things that you put on the table to try to pay off this judgment of $1 million. So they're going to take your house, they're going to take your rentals, they're going to take your investment property or your investment accounts to be able to try to take care of that. And you end up living under a bridge because you don't have a house anymore. And now I realize there's some nice bridges out there, and that's fine, but we don't really want to live under a bridge. So what happens is we create this limited partnership, and we transfer the house and the rental properties and the commercial property and the investment accounts and your gold and silver bullion and my tractor. We put everything into the limited partnership, and now when you have this order of examination, they say, do you own a house? You get to honestly say no, because you don't own it anymore. It's owned by the limited partnership. And they say, do you have any rentals? Nope, I don't have any of those. Do you have any commercial property? Nope, don't have any commercial property. Do you have any investment accounts? Nope, I don't have investment accounts. They say, well, what do you own? You say, well, I've got my dog, my socks, and my shoes, and I got $13 in my bank account, and I own a limited partnership interest. So they're going to come and say, you know what, I'm not real excited about all this stuff that you have left in your trust anymore, in your own name. So we're going to go after the limited partnership. And this is where the benefit of protection comes, where when they ask the court to allow them to take your limited partnership, the court will say no, it's not allowed in the state of California, and they're allowed to do the charging order. We'll talk about that a little bit later.
Okay, I get that. So, but if I have a corporation, if I start a corporation, won't that protect my assets if I get sued?
The problem with corporations, and corporations are wonderful, they have this thing that surround them called a corporate veil. It's the same protection that the limited partnership has, that LLCs have in other states other than California. And so the deal is that this corporate veil keeps the issues that come up in the business. So if you have a business and you hire Joe, and Joe runs over the little old lady going across the street at lunchtime, well, who's the little old lady going to sue? They're going to sue Joe, but they're going to sue your corporation because you hired him, and they're going to probably sue you, okay? And so the deal is that they've got they're going to come and sue as many people as they can to try to get something. Now what happens is that when that's going to keep that issue inside the corporation, but they get anything that the corporation owns. It gets real property, it gets money, it gets investment, it gets accounts. And so the corporate veil doesn't protect what's in the corporation. It protects you as the owner, because you're not the one that actually ran over the little old lady, so that they can't come after your personal house, and they can't come after your personal investment account and things like that. But what happens if you ran over that dog again? And you really need to leave that dog alone. It's causing a lot of problems. So the deal is, you run over that dog and they get a judgment against you. Well, they can come and take your corporation. And now they own your corporation. That's part of them getting paid back for their judgment. So it's only protecting you one way. Has a problem inside the corporation, it keeps the problem in, if you've done everything you're supposed to. Okay? But if something happens outside, they can take anything, your house, your investment account, and your business. They can't do that with a limited partnership.
Okay. So are you saying that if I have a limited partnership or an LLC, that will keep people from suing me?
No, we can't keep anybody from suing you. You have to realize there's two parts to a lawsuit. The first part is there liability and are there damages? So I'll give you an example. Somebody walks across your lawn, falls down, okay? It doesn't get hurt, but they say you should have been taking better care of your lawn. There's liability there, and so I'm going to sue. Well, they're probably going to win on the liability side, but they never got hurt, so they're going to get zero in damages, so it really doesn't matter, okay? Or you have where somebody's walking on the sidewalk in front of your house, and they fall down and break their leg. Well, there's damages because they have a broken leg, but you don't own the sidewalk, so there's no liability. But if you decide to dig a hole in your lawn so you can bury that tree that you've been wanting, and you go into lunch and leave that big hole just sitting in the middle of your lawn, somebody walks across your lawn, falls into the hole, breaks their leg, now we have damages, the broken leg, and we have liability because you dug the hole. So now they win this $1 million. So that's the first part of a lawsuit. Second part is, now they have this paper from the court that says you owe me $1 million, $100,000, whatever it is. And so they come to you and they say, I want to come and get it. Now the problem is, if you don't own anything, there's nothing for them to get. If you've created a limited partnership, everything is out of your name, in the name of the limited partnership, so there's nothing for them to take. So we can't stop them from suing you. We can't stop them from winning, but we can stop them from taking your assets.
Okay, I see. So I've got a question. So if what if a tenant or something of one of my rental properties is injured in that rental property? How does that affect things?
Okay, so once again, you're going to have, whenever we do asset protection planning, we have multiple levels of protection. So you're going to have a renter's policy that's going to take care of most of the issues that are there. You're going to have an umbrella policy that will take care of even more. Okay, but the deal is that if there's liability on something in the limited partnership, it could potentially cause issues with other things. Thus, when we put our house in there along with our rental, we don't want the rental property to cause problems with our house, so we usually put a homestead on the house, and that protects the house and separates it from anything else in the limited partnership.
Okay, and then using the separate baskets, like you said, for
that's correct.
Up to a certain amount of assets. Okay. Well, what if I have a general partnership? Does that give me any protection or any tax benefits?
A general partnership is generally the most dangerous way to do business. And the reason is because each partner is totally liable for what the other partner does, whether they know about it or not. In law school, they had a case where they had 7 people up in the hills of New York making moonshine. This is during the Prohibition time, okay? Well, during the day, one of those 7 was in town. He did something like spit on the street or something like that, got thrown in jail for the night. So there's 6 of them that night up there making moonshine. The New York State Police go up to try to stop this. There's a gun battle. One of the policemen got killed, okay? The partner, because they found them to be partners in what they were doing, the partner that was in jail in town that night, wasn't even at the gunshot, was found guilty of first-degree murder because his partners had murdered somebody. So we don't usually do general partnerships if we don't absolutely have to.
Okay. And you keep on saying we're using out-of-state LLCs. Why aren't we using a California LLC instead of a limited partnership? That's what I heard at the seminars.
That's correct. Well, the deal is California LLC law is probably the worst LLC law in the nation. We're just about the last, if not the last, state that actually accepted LLC law. We accepted LLC law in 1997. I was there. We were all waiting. We were all excited. We were, everybody else had LLCs and we didn't. And so all of a sudden, finally we get this LLC law and we read through it. It's the worst thing that we've ever seen. In California, LLCs have to pay tax even when there's no profit. It's called gross revenues tax, okay? LLCs in California can only be used by people who are not registered with some department in California. So I can't use one because I'm registered with the bar, okay? Contractors can't use it because they're with the Contractors License Board. Realtors can't use it because they're with the Realtors Board. Dry cleaners can't use it because they're registered also. So the deal is it's LLCs in California, in my mind, and this is my opinion, are basically for people who are making cupcakes and selling them on the sidewalk and not going to make more than $60,000 in the year. That's what the LLCs in California are for. Plus, the liability issues are not as clear as the others. Now, in 49 other states, we love LLCs. We don't even use FLPs in other states, but in California, we're using the FLPs, which is what was what came before all the LLCs. So we go to Wyoming when we use our LLC for our general partner, and the reason is, number one, the Wyoming is so far away that most California attorneys will not bring a lawsuit against a Wyoming LLC or entity because they can't even go into the courthouse, okay? They have to hire somebody. Yeah, some will, but most won't. Number two, Wyoming is very inexpensive to have an LLC. At the moment, $65 a year. We can handle that, right? And compared to the $800 for a California entity. Number three, Wyoming has a rule that says that if you own a Wyoming entity, that you're not personally liable for the debts and liabilities of that entity, unlike California where you're totally liable. Number four, Wyoming seems to like businesses more than people. That's, I think, why there's only 15 people that live in Wyoming. And so the deal is that if there's a lawsuit between a person and a business, the business usually wins. And then in the end, even if they win, they're going to get $1,000 in the bank, and that's all that it owns. And so it's not a big deal either way.
So I saw online that I could go to Wyoming and start an LLC. I live in California. I've got properties in California. Why wouldn't I just do that?
Well, anytime you own property in California, you're going to have to register with California, pay all the same taxes and everything that you would have in California. And so it doesn't really benefit you having an out-of-state entity with California property, okay? And so California properties we hold in California entities, out-of-state properties we hold in out-of-state entities generally.
So would California courts recognize, if it's a foreign entity, would they recognize those protections, or are they going to apply California law?
No, they're going to apply California law, unfortunately.
So let's see, how can I protect my home from issues or lawsuits against other properties that are owned in my limited partnership?
Oh, we talked about that a minute ago. We go ahead and put a homestead on it. The homestead rules just changed a few years ago, making it so that the homestead can actually protect up to $600,000 of equity in your home. And so it basically puts this covering, this protection around your home so that nothing else can cause a problem. In my career, I'm doing this for 32 years now, I've actually seen only a creditor go against a house with a homestead on it only once. If you don't have a homestead, every time they're going to go after your home because it's the easiest thing. They can't hide it, and it's easy to find, and they force a sale, and they can go ahead and take it.
So what would you say that the maximum that one entity, one limited partnership should hold? What number of assets or how many properties before maybe diversifying and having
It's always
more?
going to be a personal choice. Some people do one entity, one property only, and that's the best. It's just they're also going to have a whole bunch of different entities if you have a lot of properties. So in my personally, I put 5, 6, maybe 7 properties in one entity, and then I start a different one.
Okay. Are there any kind of assets that my limited partnership should not own?
You don't want cars in there. And the reason is cars cost 60% of all the lawsuits out there. And it's like putting that stick of dynamite with your jewelry. We talked about that a little bit. You're not going to want to put your general personal property, your TV and your kitchen table and all that. You don't need that in the limited partnership because in reality, nobody wants it. If somebody sues you, they're not going to take that anyway. So we just don't need to worry too much about that. Anything that's dangerous. I've actually had one client, and he had a machine that was the size of my office that had a big grinder, and he could throw anything in there and just grind it up into pieces for recycling. And I can just imagine, every time I saw it, I saw myself falling into it. That's a kind of a dangerous thing. And then he had some real property, and he had a business and things. So we actually created 2 limited partnerships. One we called the Dangerous Asset Limited Partnership, and the other one is the Safe Asset Limited Partnership. And so we kept those separate so we could still protect things. We do that for trucks too. So if we have a business that has like 100 trucks or something, we'll create a limited partnership to hold the trucks. But that's all it's going to hold, is just the trucks.
Okay. Now you mentioned before I could put my home into the limited partnership for asset protection. Does it give me any tax advantages?
Definitely. So the deal is, once you put your home into a limited partnership, it becomes, instead of being a personal residence, it becomes an investment property. Each of those 2 categories has different tax rules. Okay, a personal residence, you can deduct very little, up to $10,000 in your interest credit and get some depreciation, and maybe your taxes you can pay up, but that's it. Okay, on an investment property, you can write off the new refrigerator and the new stove and the floor repair and the painting on the house and the new roof repair and the yard guy and the bug guy and the pool guy and all these different things that you're paying for on your home that are not tax deductible can be tax deductible if it's an investment property. Now, there's some certain things you have to do to make sure you're treating it as an investment property. You can't just call it that and then go ahead and take all these deductions. And we show you how to do that. But the deal is, once you make it an investment property, you can take many more tax deductions than you'll ever be able to do with a personal residence.
Okay, now I guess the last question is, if I put all my real estate investments, valuable assets into limited partnership, do I still control them? Can I still use them? Or do I lose control?
No, you have total control. That's why we do this. I mean, we can go ahead and put it into all your assets into an irrevocable trust and protect them, but you don't have any control. Okay, we can put them into a business trust, and you may only have partial control. There's all types of different things that you can do, but by using a limited partnership, because you control the general partner and you'll be the manager of the limited partnership, you'll be able to use it any way you want. So you need something, you need some money, you make a disbursement to yourself and take some money out, okay? Better yet is use that money and go and use it as a tax deduction if possible, and have the limited partnership pay for it in the first place. So yes, you keep control, you get to continue to use it, and you can continue to decide what you're going to do. Keep it, not keep it, sell it, burn it, don't burn it. If it's a property, that's a misdemeanor to burn the property, so don't do that.
All right, so how do I get in touch with you if I need more?
You just go ahead and call us over at Beyer, Pond, Gratz, and Rosen. We have 2 offices, one in Lincoln, and the number there is 645-9529, and there's one in Sacramento, and the number there is 916-369-9750. So just give us a call. We'd be happy to talk to you.